Welcome to this week's edition of the Old Parachute Podcast. But before we get started, I want to tell you about our new sponsors, Veterans for Veterans. If you served after 1987 and your hearing's taken a knock from your time in the forces, these are the people to speak to. They've helped thousands of veterans like us claim compensation for tinnitus and hearing loss. They're ex-military themselves, so they genuinely get it.
It's free to check if you qualify, and the claims are no win, no fee. To get started, click the link in this video or visit veteransforveterans.co.uk.
Well, welcome to another edition of the Old Parachute Podcast. Today's guest, back for a second time, sucker for punishment, former paratrooper, former SAS. The S on SAS Who Dares Wins. It is, of course, Billy Billingham. Welcome back, Billy.
Chris, it's great to be back, mate, and I know we've been trying to get this second one round for a good while, but you're busy, I'm busy, but it's a pleasure, mate. Paratrooper to paratrooper, you know, there's no nonsense. We know it's going to be straight down the line, so very happy.
Happy days, mate. Thank you very much. Well, we did the last one. We had some internet issues. You were away on location doing some shooting, I think, for SES Catching Criminals, which we'll come on to later on. But yeah, I'm glad I've got you back on. I've improved my setup. Things have gone, like you said before, though, your knowledge of technology's not got any better. That's why we're on a phone, but that's another story. Now, what I like to do, for the people that didn't see the first podcast, and for the people that have clearly been living under a rock for the last several years that don't know who you are, basically, yeah, bit of a nutshell, background about yourself, if you can, Billy.
Yeah, I grew up on a council estate in the West Midlands. Like most people, needed direction. The military gave me the direction I needed to get me out of trouble and give me a new purpose in life. I found the Parachute Regiment, which was the best thing I ever did, if I'm honest. Joined the Parachute Regiment 1983, October 83, along with 70 other people. Went through depot training down in Browning Barracks, Aldershot. Passed out 7 of the originals that started from the 70. I got champion recruit of 497 platoon. The staff were amazing people. I'm still in very good contact with them today. You know, the instructors, they're friends for life and still mentors to me today. You know, so I went through training and then I went to Free Para, which is where I want to go. The reason for joining the Parachute Regiment was I was in the cadets and I was in the Marine Cadets, believe it or not. And it was at the end of the Falklands War just before I joined. And I spoke to all the people that come back from the Falklands. And there was a paratrooper there, a good friend of mine, Frank Regan. He'd been shot on Mount London. And he was still wrapped up, injured. And I got talking to him. And I just loved the way he spoke about the Parachute Regiment, the camaraderie. And I thought, that's where I want to go. And that was my reason from leaving the cadets, joining the military and choosing the Parachute Regiment. Went to depot, went through depot, like I say, 7 of us, and then I went to Free Para, which Frank had served with. Went to 1 platoon, 1 section, out in Belize, joined them out in Belize. Hated Belize, horrible time to join. You know, they all come from the Falklands, there's no nonsense. It was a tough time, like it's tough for anybody. Settling in was difficult initially, but then hating the jungle spun before the end of the trip to loving it. I loved the jungle, I loved the soldiering, loved everything I was learning. I latched onto some of the older guys and was learning great stuff. And I kind of found my direction of where I want to go in the future if I stayed. So I did. And I ended up staying with the Parachute Regiment for 9 years. Finishing off back at depot as an instructor for 2 years, which I loved. Took four platoons through depot training. During the time in Free Para, I served in Oman, in the desert, in the jungle of Belize again. Cyprus, Northern Ireland, had some great stuff, couple of operational tours, of course, and then decided in when did I go? 1992. After two and a half year stint down at the depot as an instructor, I went on selection and then did selection down at 92 down in Centrebridge at the start of it. Long story short, I think there's 283 of us started and again 7 of us finished. And I went to B Squadron Mountain Troop, joined the troop. At the time we were on the counter-terrorist team based in Hereford, and there was a lot going on across in Ireland and other places. So it was a baptism of a new lifetime and fire, if you like, in a different environment and environments with the regiment. And really from my joining the regiment from 93, the first year after joining, to the time I left, some 20-something years later, it was all war fighting everywhere, all around the globe, you know, from the Balkans, Bosnia, Kosovo, Macedonia, Africa, Middle East, all the way up to the time that I left. I had a great career with the regiment, ended up a Sergeant Major B Squadron, decorated on a couple of occasions for stuff that the regiment does. We did. Yeah, so it was a great career. I did everything any soldier ever wanted to do, you know, from combat to hostage rescue to indicting people for war crimes. It was a full-on wild, mad career. A lot of it, I'll say, lucky to walk away from some of it, but glad to have done so and glad to be able to be here talking about it. And then into the celebrity world.
Yeah, absolutely. Any regrets from the military?
No, not really. You know, I regret probably not going to the regiment a little bit earlier because I could have served even more time. But I don't regret my time in Para. That, to me, is when I talk about the love of my career was the Para. It really shaped me into who I was, you know, and as I've already alluded to, I look back and I talk to some of those instructors who took me through, and even today, they're still very wise people giving wise advice. And no real regrets, mate, if I'm honest. It's interesting because I always talk about life's lessons, you know, and for me, like joining the military was learning about a purpose, having a purpose on the planet now. I'm here to do a good job, whatever that might be. Learn discipline, learn respect, learned a bunch of trades and skills through the military. And then after 27 plus years, I don't count 5 years of it because it was TA part of it, otherwise it'd be 32 years. So 27 years, you got to leave. You've now got to... I did. I'd done everything I wanted to do. It was time to leave. So I'll leave. And you got to remember now, for the last 20 years, I'd lived under the radar, being in the regiment, not on the electoral roll, all that sort of stuff. No one knows who you are. And then you got to get a job. And then I'm looking for a job. And generally, as you know, most people from the military kind of go down the security style route. And I'd done a little bit of moonlighting, bodyguarding, basically, with some celebrities. And then I got headhunted to do security for Brad and Angelina Jolie. That was going to be my first job, which sounds great. I'm not into the celebrity nonsense anyway, but I've got a job to do. I know my job inside out, security. I've just got to adapt it to these clients. So I'm leaving the military, and it was daunting. It was a very, very daunting moment, and I ain't going to lie, it was horrible. I weren't in the best place with my marriage and all the rest of it. I was like most of us, you know, in a bit of a upside down situation. I'm leaving. I've got to get a job. And the first job I've got is gone from being under the radar all my life to now on every camera, every freaking film set, every bit of media around the world. It was really a weird situation. And it's hard to explain that. You know, you kind of trying to hide from the camera. It's almost like the old belief in voodoo where somebody takes a picture, they're going to steal your fucking spirit. That's how I felt. I was more scared of a camera pointing at me than a fucking AK. I felt comfortable knowing what, you know, but so this new world took a while to adjust to. It was kind of foot in the water, foot out the water. Eventually, I embraced where I was and went, you know, I'm here. This is my life now. This is what I've got to do. So that's what I did. And I started to enjoy it. It grew on me. And yeah, I enjoyed the time I did. I did quite a bit of security work, 17 months in total with Brad and Angelina, full on more or less. And that was, I'd left the military not having any time with family. Now I've started work and I've got no time with family. So it was a tough old space. It paid well, you know, people think it's glamorous. It wasn't really. You're privileged to traveling well, eating well, living in hotels, but you don't really have a life. You're living someone else's life, and you're at their beck and call. So it was tough. I was banging out throughout that time 18 hours a day. So when the clients went to bed, you've got to go and do your due diligence and your research and your recce because you can't trust anybody else. And that became very apparent after leaving the military. First lesson was you really can't trust the people that you're with because they don't know you. Everybody wants to steal your job. And that's how it felt. And actually, that's how it was. And also what I noticed as well after leaving, everybody that I profile security work seemed to have been in the SAS. Yeah, I didn't know fucking any of them. I was like, hang on a minute. Yeah, I was literally the only one at one festival, massive festival, where everybody's bodyguards in the SAS, and they've been telling the clients this for years. And that's when they're at the point, the over awkward part of my life of leaving the military. You sound like a Walter Mitty to say, yeah, I was in the SAS. Although I was, you just wouldn't say, because people go, well, you wouldn't say, if you said you are, you obviously wasn't. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
But all these people I'm working with are in the fucking SAS, and I'm like, what the fuck? So eventually I had to say, hang on a minute, I am in the fucking SAS. And that numpty who's just been sacked, that you said you wouldn't employ an SAS guy again because they're all numpties. They are numpties, but they're not fucking regiment. So that was another awkward part of the transition of leaving and saying who I was. So on the basis of that, I'm now got used to being on cameras, being on a magazine, being in a paper, being talked about on the TV, and I'm embracing it because it gave me a platform. Which the platform grew with the charity and supporting the veterans and all, because people kind of recognise you, look up to you, and donated and supported you. So that was great. That was a good side of it. And that went on and on. And at the same time, we had a security company running, which was a sleeping partner too. And that was going well out in Iraq and making a lot of money and employing a lot of people. So things were going pretty good. And then I stayed in the security world, as in the BG world, for a good while. In and out, looking after various people, Russell Crowe, Tom Cruise, Michael Caine, all that sort of people. And they're all good people, to be honest. I enjoyed the work. And then came the opportunity to go from being this side of the camera, bodyguarded, to that side of the camera, which then led on to, I did a program called Unbreakable, where I took 8 people to the jungle, try and break them, and I broke them all in about 40 fucking minutes.
Yeah.
But not that nothing, no derogatory to any of them. You and I know soldiers who are acclimatized and trained and fit go to the jungle. It's a fucking hard environment. These are a bunch of civilians. Yes, they're fit, good guys and girls, but you're not ready. You went straight into the jungle. I tried to educate the team to that, and they weren't listening. And that proved it. We nearly lost a couple of people in 40 minutes. Fucking literally one nearly died. And I went, now you're going to learn a lesson. And it kind of put me off a bit that these producers with the great ideas weren't listening. So he put me off for a bit. And then a few years later, I ended up on being asked to do that SAS Who Dares Wins. Did the first one, didn't like the title, didn't really know what it was all about. And then I joined it on the second one. When I joined, I realised it's not about 4 people who think they know it all. It's actually about giving something back based on our experiences and knowledge, putting people through a physical, mental and emotional sort of period of time and training to see how they react, to replicate some of that we've similar done, not particularly the SAS, but the military. And then, and then that's grew, and I've really realised what that does, and I love that because it helps a lot of people, not just the people who are in front of us who come back as a better person. Anybody who does it does learn a lot from it, but it's the young kids that follow these people that go on it, who are all in a dark space, because we seem to be in a world where everybody's got a fucking mental issue now. And by helping them through a space, all these young kids reach out to us and go, well, if my hero can do it that I've watched on TV, I can do it. And it helps a lot of people. And again, it helps me build my platform, supports the charities I do. So that's where I am up to speed today, and in between that, I've been fortunate enough to write a couple of books, 4 books, in fact. A personal bio, a couple of novels based on all the stories that we've got. You just turn it into a James Bond, Jack Reacher type scenario, which has been therapeutic and easy to do because we've done a lot of shit that we're talking about, just Hollywoodized it all, and then just done a self-awareness book, which is amazing because to me, when I was in the army, I fucking hated laptops. Even as a sergeant major, they tried to pin me down to send emails. I went, no, I wouldn't do it because I had a clerk. I said, I've got a clerk there, he does that. And I'm probably the only person ever to get away with it. I went around the whole establishment and took over as B Squad Sergeant Major. Says, don't send me an email because I won't answer it. Call me, come see me, or page me. And even the CO went, okay. And that's how I worked. So considering I've never written a fucking email in my life, I've managed to write 4 books.
No, fair play, Look, you kept yourself busy, haven't you? You've been doing loads
Yeah.
and loads of stuff. And you know what? An important thing that you said there, I'm trying to do this similar sort of thing myself with the podcast. It's not necessarily about the popularity as such, but
Yeah.
when you've been enabled to get a platform and a following, like I've got a friend, I won't mention any names, but his missus is very poorly. And I've thought, well, I've got a platform now where I can put something out, a Just Giving
Yeah.
page or something like that, and get people to donate. Then I've helped him out, and it's just a way of using your platform. You do it to help your charities. I'm hoping I'm going to be involved. I'm sort of doing a bit of links with various veterans charities as well, not
Yeah.
your big charities that kind of where nothing ever happens. We know the ones that we're on about, but Veterans Volunteer Service, Pilgrim Bandits, who's Matt
Yeah.
Elliott, very well.
And I'm yeah.
Yeah, that are kind of smaller charities. So it just gives you a platform, doesn't it, to help
It
those.
does, mate. And you know what? I don't think you've hit the nail on the head too hard there, Chris. Is that platform started when you joined the army? That's who you are.
Yeah,
The military is all about fucking giving back, and we know it's never talked about. It's never acknowledged. People just have this perception of military, oh, fucking follow orders, go smash, go do, and it's not like that at all. And you and I know. You think about your career. Everything you've done once you've beated yourself to be allowed to be part of this unit is go out and help. That's what we do. We go out and fucking help. Stop suffering. That platform started then because that's
yeah,
what we're doing. And now it's so close to our hearts. And it's, we wrap it up with that word of hearts and minds, particularly a lot of that more with the regiment, if I'm honest, is something we do. Our pay, our salary, our fucking good feeling is giving back. Like you're doing. I know what you do, the podcast. It's not for you, it's to do that, what you're doing. And
absolutely.
and you know what's funny about it all? Particularly for the veteran charities, the only ones helping veterans is fucking veterans and serving military. And the government don't help us. And you can bang your gums as much and say what you want. They don't. We get fuck all. We get persecuted, if anything, and particularly now. It's ridiculous the way we're being treated and hounded and fucking used as scapegoats. When these politicians that sent us and did this sort of stuff, they should be in fucking jail, most of them.
Yeah, no, you're
And
right.
it aggravates me, but look, look, and that's why I love to do this podcast. And I know you probably think, fucking hell, I'm never going to get hold of him. I've been like you, busy as shit. But it's important these messages are good. And I know most of the people, there'll be veterans probably who watch it anyway. And they're the ones who, they've got nothing themselves, but that nothing they've got, they'll share with somebody else. And it's true. And don't get me wrong, sorry, there's a lot of civilians who help as well, and non-military and blue collar. But the biggest help is veterans with veterans. I'm an ambassador to Phoenix Heroes. Cracking little charity, mate. Taking people fishing, and even the CEO of that is a military guy. He had a fucking heart attack and nearly died a month ago. And he's still out fucking raising money for other people. That's who we are. My point is, and I always go off at tangent, is our platform. That's what the military is. It's a platform. It's a platform for giving, for helping at a massive sacrifice, i.e. us. Our mental fucking health, our bodily health, and sometimes our life.
Yeah.
And that sounds heroic. It's fucking true. That's exactly what it is. That's what the military is. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. They think you're dumbass people who just follow fucking orders. Bullshit. Every order you get, you know and I know, we'll question it. Why are we doing it? What's the morality behind it? What's the reasons? We're not fucking idiots who just follow people to... And people, that message never gets put out there. And
No.
when I do my talks, I always talk about that, I talk about, which I love talking about. Sorry, mate, I've kind of fucking gone off. If you come back, we talk about, I always get asked, what do you think of national service? And you can straight away split the audience in half.
Yeah.
Always. Silence. And then generally, I turn it to probably 90% at the end of when I finish, go, actually, that's not a bad idea. Because I always start off with everything's about perception. As soon as you say the army, the military, everybody thinks guns, tanks, killing, war.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, that does happen, but that's a fucking fraction of our life, and you know that, and I know that, and we've been in fucking tier 1 fucking units. That is their job. And if you look at the whole of your career, and I just said I was on a war fighting role, I was in war. We weren't fighting, we were stopping it. We were fucking, stopping suffering and killing and all the rest of it. That's what we're doing. So I always talk about, should we have national service? Oh, I always get asked, and I thought a lot about it, and I always say yes, we should. And the reason I say that is because you leave school at 16 generally, unless you're going into proper education, as in university or wherever, you've got something you've got aiming towards, or a proper job, then you should go in. You shouldn't be on the dole. You shouldn't be sitting around with no fucking idea what to do. For 2 years, which is nothing, you and I know, look at it this way. They're going to get paid. They're safe. They're going to learn something about themselves, like I did, like you did. When I went through, I felt valuable to the country, to the world. I'm now somebody. I've got something to give, and I'm getting paid for it. Not a lot of money because the money's crap, but the knowledge, the experience, and the foundation of who you fucking really are is better than anything. and that will take you through life. So for 16 to 18, because a lot of these kids are mixed up. They don't know if they're a cat, a human, or what the fucking are, half of them. It's mental. And it, you know, without being derogatory, it's confusing to these people. It's not their fault. It's the system. The education system's not the best anymore. It's so I think so. To go into the military, there's for the young kid, one, you're getting paid. Two, you're going to be taught something. I always say we should open up national service to every wing of the military except for the infantry. For young kids. So they go in there, they learn engineering, they learn to be a doctor, they learn to be a vet, they learn to be technician, they learn to be a REME. There's these great skills, and we've got the best in the world because we have. So we've got all these skills these young kids for 2 years can learn. Of course, you're going to have to learn initial how to handle a weapon, there's nothing wrong with that, how to do unarmed combat, that's great. And then you learn for the rest of the 2 years this skill. You're getting paid for it, you're getting great knowledge, a skill set, you're finding out who you are. You're building camaraderie, you're learning about the environment, you learn about each other, which you don't really do in school because you're living and breathing together. And then, you know, and they can have weekends off, they can do this, they can have more contact with their parents, not like we did. So that's how it should be. So for the parents, you know where your kid is for 2 years, they're not in the streets getting into gangs and going to get stabbed. So you feel safer. They're getting an education, they're getting money. We've got so many massive establishments around the country, and I've drove load past old military bases. You look and go, wow, look at that piece of land, look how beautiful that is. It would cost a fraction of what they're giving away to everybody else to do them up, reopen them. We've got so many veterans that are suffering. We've all, like you and I've got 27 years of military experience, not just all warfighting, but other skills that I've learned, personal skills, protection skills, that I could be teaching. It gives me another job. I've got a job now as a veteran to go and teach these young kids. So all of the ex-engineers, ex-REME guys, ex-medics, ex-signalers who sit and twiddling their thumbs and going mad in their own head because the country's the way it is, would have a job. So it works for everybody. And the other thing is, if you think about this, and I often do, and I did last night because I didn't get home till 12:30 last night because of roadblocks and shit. I've drove down the M6, mate. Those cones have been there since I joined the army. I've never seen any fucking person working on them.
True story.
These young kids who are now doing national service could be taught engineering. That's not no expense now because they're being taught. With the experts, can go out and fix all these roads, fix all the potholes, fix all the stuff, fix all the problems around the UK that we don't seem to be able to do. We don't need to bring people in to do. We've got people here to do it. They just need training, educating, and given a job. So, to me, by the time I finish saying all this sort of stuff, people go, "Oh, actually, that's not a bad idea." And then after 2 years, if they decide I like the military and I'd like to go to the tier 1 war fighting side of it, if that ever came, then go and join it. Then you're 18, you've got more of a sense and responsibility. So by the time I finished out that, everybody goes, I never thought about that. Because they don't. Because perception's everything. Perception, military, guns, bombs, killing, it's bullshit.
It's exactly that. You try and sort of educate people in what the military is. And again, there is a small part of that is infantry, you know, crawling around, bayonets fixed, that sort of stuff. That's the what people see the army as. But
Yeah.
I'm with you. I think most people that went and did from 16 to 18 in the military, I reckon the retention figures would be about 80% because people would love it. We used to say when we did that, you do need direction. Most people go into university and never end up using the degrees that they get. It's a waste of money. They end up spending the money, having in debt, well into their in the 30s and even 40s, paying grants back.
Yep.
Qualification that they've never even used, and sometimes that debt never gets paid off, so you're putting the country in debt without going too deep with political stuff. But what I'm trying to say is 2 years in the military, like you say, non-infantry will be the exact, I think it'd do wonders, and I'm all for that as well. I've said it,
mate, because the young kids today need direction. You know, the world's changed, it's different. You know, you can say it's softer, it's softer. Fucking is softer.
Yeah.
You know, fucking bullets, bombs, and knives, and that's what used to hurt us, not a fucking word. People have a breakdown because they've heard a bad word. It's nonsense. It's utter bullshit. It's got to be stopped. That's got to stop. And it comes down to parenting at the end of the day. But I just say a fix would be that. I just think every young kid that does that, like I say, you know where they are for 2 years. You're earning money for 2 years, which you weren't. You were going to sit in the house doing nothing, playing on a computer probably. And don't get me wrong, influencers and that's a new world now. It's not my world. So there's room for those sort of people. Not everybody's going to fit, but I think anybody that is not actually being employed properly after 16 years old, not in further should, they should go into them, be made to go into that side of the military. And it doesn't have to be the tough regime that we went through. But you do get up in the morning, you will have your hair cut, you will do discipline, and there's nothing wrong with that. And it's all right, people going, I don't like being told what to do. Well, that's bullshit. Everybody, you get told what to do all your life.
Yeah, of course you do.
So anyway, going off, and so that's the world after the military, the bodyguarding, and now into the celebrity world. But the bottom line is, which is where they started, it's a platform. And I always say, no matter who you are, what you are, and it's proven by veterans who've got nothing, you're always in a better place than somebody else. And I know that's a horrible thing to say, but it's true. There's always somebody that needs help, and we should help. And it's a great feeling. I'm literally going to finish this. I'm downtown to meet the lads who are raising money for cancer and go and spend 2 hours with them, And, I was up last night doing stuff, talking to raise money for the kids in Haiti and stuff. I think it's great. What do you need to live on? Just enough to pay your mortgage, your rent, or whatever it is, and have a decent. And I think most military type people are like that.
Yeah, I know. I agree with you. And I touching back to what you said then about veterans helping veterans. It is literally that, And I've said before, I'm sponsored by Veterans for Veterans. You can see I'm wearing this stuff. And that is literally a veteran-run organisation trying to get other veterans compensation for various issues, mainly hearing claims and stuff,
Yeah.
It is veterans, again, helping each other because no one else. And I know what you touched on there. There are civilians that sympathise, that help and everything else. But genuinely, the government don't give a toss. They could not give a crap. You walk out that door and they do not give a complete toss. All your organisations, your police, your fire service, they are all like that. As soon as you sign off and you leave, you're almost dead to them. There's no backup stuff. The military, I think, is probably the worst. And it annoys me massively how they don't look after vets. You will get people, people criticising all the time, saying, "Oh, well, you signed on the line." Yeah, we did. But we also signed on that line to have some sort of support after we put ourselves what we did through what we did. You know what I mean?
They kind of tell you that's what you'll get. You'll travel. You get a great. It's true. It is. It's the world's biggest university anyway, because we're constantly traveling, learning, and it's the best university in the world because it's real. It's real. It's not written in a book and fucking out of date a month later. It's what we do is real. So it's a great university for that. But you're right. We there are some organisations that do help. So it's not everybody. But the other thing I was going to just add to that was actually sometimes it's better that it's done by veterans for veterans because of the way we are. Our dark humour. Only another veteran knows it. And I've had so many examples, probably like you have, where I've took a mate to see a psychiatrist. The psychiatrist are half the age of both of us anyway. They've got no real experience other than a degree from some university, and not disrespecting them either, but that's the truth. And they have no idea about military darkness. The fact and your mate's lying there with his legs fucking hanging off, and you can see fucking hell. He's probably going to bleed to death unless we reassure him. And how do we reassure him? Going, tell him to stop whinging, put a fucking band-aid on it, and get up and pass your BFT next week, you twat. And as daft as that is, all of a sudden that soldier's colour comes back to his face because he's laughing.
Yeah.
Where somebody over him going, "Oh my God, tell me about your childhood. What you going?" You're like, what the fuck?
I remember
soldiers know soldiers.
Of course they do. And I remember a good story. I can't remember which battalion of the reg it was, but one of the lads ended up losing his leg in Afghanistan, unconscious in a coma. And when he woke up, the lads had gathered around him, dressed him up as a pirate with a parrot and that, obviously because he's missing a leg. And the photo was on the side when he woke up. So you're waking up from a coma to that and going, "Oh, you bastards." And that's what it's about, isn't it?
Yeah, and the outside world, the civilian world, don't get that humour. They see us as a little bit aggressive, a little bit dark, a little bit. But in a way, I guess we are. But but that humour is needed. So veterans helping veterans, I get it why we do it and how we do it, and because you need each other. But it does surprise me the amount of times I hear of so-and-so's committed suicide and this and that, because it is hard. There's not a lot. It's hard for civilians to understand a lot of us, to be fair. But there ain't a great deal of help. People say, "Oh yeah, being in the military, you get pushed forward on the NHS." Well, that didn't fucking happen to anybody I know. I mean, maybe I'm missing something, and I could be, so don't shoot me for that. But
It's supposed to
I
be a
don't see any
thing.
special treatment. I don't think we should have super special treatment, but we should be looked at. We should definitely be looked after, which I don't feel we are.
Yeah, no, again, and I liken it to, I've got a very good friend that's Power Age that went SBS, probably much to your dismay. I was shocked by it as well. And he got injured really bad in Afghanistan with some American soldiers. They all got looked after when they went home to America. They got pensioned off,
Kids do look after them.
tea and medals and biscuits out with the president and all that kind. And our British soldier was misdiagnosed and still fighting for a payout now from the MOD 4 years later. And you're just like, what the fuck? It's disgusting, you know?
It is disgusting.
Anyway, we sound like two cantankerous old men, so we'll move on to happier stuff. So obviously, last time we spoke, you were in the midst, or just about to start, or in the middle of filming, sort of SES, sort of catching criminals and stuff like that. How did you find that? How did you get working? Because for you, that was probably going to be a little bit different
Yeah.
to what you usually did, working with the police and stuff.
Yeah, well, I'm a big fan of all the sort of services anyway. The doctors, nurses, police, ambulance, fire brigade, everybody. We're all kind of in the same. But yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. But I mean, we're all in the kind of the same boat, aren't we? So I got asked. It was a BBC program to would I be interested? And I've always been interested. Do you remember the Cook report, Roger Cook?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Roger Cook used to go out and expose fucking these bad people. I called them scumbags, and I weren't allowed to use that word, but whatever. These bad people are doing bad things. And I thought Roger Cook was a ballsy old dude. He didn't give a shit about half beaten up, but he exposed these liars and these crooks and these greedy people. And I thought, I'd love to do that. I've always wanted to do that. Go after these people who are spoiling what we should have, what everybody should be sharing. So when that came about, I thought, great. But again, it's hard not to get political. But in the media, the fucking, the police are two-tier, they're this, they're like, and everybody is, everybody thinks here, well, whatever you think, but it's been hammered to you because of media, and half the problem is the media, to be honest. But so when it came to me, I thought, fucking hell, I'd love to do this, but I'm not playing to anybody else's narrative. I am not being told what this production team want to put out there. I'm going to tell the truth, what the people like, what we're doing, what's going on. So and I made that very clear. I am not. So, and yeah, that's what we want. So off we went, and I enjoyed it, mate. It was a couple of things to me. Firstly, it was horrifying to realise how much crime is going on. It's ridiculous in every corner of our world, in this country. So much crime going on. It's fucking terrible. And I mean bad crime. A lot of it we don't even hear about, and I'm not even going to talk about it. But it was the amount of stuff the police are dealing with is just horrific.
Yeah. And understaffed, underfunded again.
Understaffed, underfunded, and not supported. Very similar to us, to be honest. Their hands are tied as bad as ours are.
Yeah.
So that was the first thing that stood out to me. Gee, I think I've been living under a rock when I think about. Sorry, somebody's here. Just say hello. Quick, say hello. Okay, now go. Anyway, so yeah, that was an highlight to me. How much crime is really going on, and then meeting the cops. The cops are a bit standoffish because there've been some programs where people try to expose them for not being good or all the rest of it. And after I broke the ice with all the police units I worked with, mate, they were brilliant. They were just like us. It was just like being back in the unit.
Yeah.
They're so dedicated. They're not there for the money because the money's terrible, just like ours was. They know they're fighting against a system that doesn't support them as well as it probably should, and all the rest of the problems that we had. No, Alfie, I'm talking. Go away, bud. So it was good to meet the people that I was going to work with, the police units, and it was reassuring to me to know these people are there. The coppers ain't scared of these gangs or any of it. None of them. That they were out doing a job. They were going after these people. The problem I found was, mate, once we'd done the arrests, they're handed into the system. The system's terrible.
Yeah.
We're handing a person into the system that was released 3 days ago for grievous bodily harm on a police officer. I'm like, how is that even humanly possible? And then he was released a week before that for drugs and something else. The system's, that's got to be sorted out.
Years ago was like the ultimate crime. If you assaulted a police officer years ago, you were getting jail time without a doubt.
And rightly so.
Yeah.
And rightly so, mate. It was just these criminals didn't give a damn, mate. Didn't give a shit. And as soon as they were, and the poor, so a lot more crime than expected. That was the first thing. the coppers, it was reassuring to me to know we've still got these people out there will come and do what they can when they can, but the stress to the limit. And they ain't scared of these people, mate. And they're good at what they do. The coppers are good, really good. And they go in with the right amount of sort of force when needed. And they're very down the line and fair as well, which is great to see. But the justice system was it's scary. I couldn't believe it. So, but going back to the whole I loved it. I loved doing the program, and I want to do a lot more. It was good to get out there, get the message out there, particularly to a lot of the crime that's aimed at kids. You know, these dodgy vapes and drugs and all this sort of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Getting that message out to the parents to be aware of things that I wasn't aware of, and the kids to be aware of. So I felt it was really good, and I enjoyed it, and I love being around the people, the police that I worked with. They were fantastic, mate. It was really interesting, and you know, it was a job for me, which I like. I like to work. We did 15 episodes. It was full on. 15 episodes, 15 rates, all live stuff. You know, and it was great. And some of it was you think is petty starts and builds up, and you get to the bottom end of the scale from shoplifting all the way up to gang related frigging assaults for money, drugs, whatever it may be, all the way up to rape, kidnapping, fucking animal cruelty. It was every sort of sector of crime that was going on, and there's a lot of it, but it was good to see it and getting involved in it and smash it down. We did a lot of arrests, broke down a lot of the old gangs and stuff, but there's that much of it going on, and like I say, the gangs that we probably broke down are still probably back on the street now anyway, doing what they're good at.
It almost seems like futile, doesn't it? It's like you can't.
But I'd never say that, because if we're doing one bit's better than nothing. I'd like to make it bigger, and I always think we could do much more if we'd sort out the justice system, sort out the support for our forces, our police, support ourselves. And sorry, the final thing I'll just say on this is, so the lessons are scary about how much of crime, unbelievable how poor the system is after they've been arrested. It's ridiculous. And then I sat back and looked at it and goes, how do we fix this? And I think a good way to start at least is community.
Yeah.
Come together and look after each other. This is ours. This is everybody's. Forget who you like, what your colour you are, what's the. This is ours. Come together. I look back at, like you will. I knew the copper in our area. There's always a copper that come out, Tommy. I hated him because it was always me who caught, because it was always me that was doing the problem. He was right. But he was kind of as much as I hated him, I loved him because you felt safe to know he was there.
Yeah.
Now the coppers you don't see them out. One, because they're undermanned, they haven't got enough of them. And two, there's things like, and I know they are because I've been out there, no-go areas. We don't go there because of this. Bullshit. The coppers should go wherever they fucking want to keep this place safe.
Yeah.
And it was so the overarching thing there is, if we could come together properly as a community and look after each other, instead of something's happening next door, most people will just turn a blind eye or close the curtains, and pretend it isn't happening. Don't do that. Don't be afraid. You don't have to go out there and be the hero, but report it. Look after each other. And for people standing around videoing when someone's getting a kicking or stabbing, they should do the same time in jail as the people that's fucking creating that crime, because that is a bigger crime. You saw it the other day outside the mosque. People walking past that bloke in the street with his throat slit and videoing it. I'm like, what the hell? And Lee Rigby's situation. Mate, I would find every single one of those people that were there videoing that and put them in jail. They go, oh, well, yeah, we shouldn't get involved. Well, you are getting involved because you're standing there videoing it. Either get the fuck out of the way and let the police get in and do the job, or pick something up and fucking fight back.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? This boils down to exactly full circle to what you said about the justice system. Maybe people have done that and then been arrested for doing exactly what you've just said. So then all of a sudden people are on the back foot going, well, I'm getting involved because and you'll see that, obviously, I'm not going to go into about the military and investigations and stuff, but people are going, well, I'm not going to get involved because I'll end up getting arrested because of the justice system. So we need a bit of common sense back in the justice system.
I think it's just the human nature of, you don't see somebody else being suffering at the hands of bullies or fucking. Anyway. Yeah, so I enjoyed doing it. I really did. And I'd love to do a lot more. And I think, if we could start with putting that message out even harder, of coming together as a community, supporting our police, the police getting the right tools and support that they need, and sorting out the justice system, and we'd be in a better place for sure.
Are we going to see you moving into politics very soon, Billy? Or
No, mate. I'm smart enough to know. I don't know politics. I have a view. I tend to. I do my due diligence, mate. I look at the situations, and we've had a lot of experience, mate. We've been all around the globe. Whether it's natural disaster, war fighting, just arts and minds, and I've got enough education knowledge, and I've worked at tier 1 level, government level, so I know what goes on back there, mate. Some things are kept out of the public eye, but it's just. I wouldn't get into politics, but I look at someone and go, hang on, is that right? There's always two sides to every story, but generally what I think I've done, 90% of what I've fought, and no, that's wrong. I'm right, based on all the knowledge and experience that I've got. But,
that's the key is the experience and knowledge. You have got people in the government that have no knowledge or experience when it relates to everyday people. You're an everyday person that's done something with his life and is gained lots of experience. A lot of these people in Parliament are supposed to represent us. They don't represent me. They're not. They're people of privilege. Like you like we said it before, and it's a bit of a cliche. Ask one of them how much it costs for a pint of milk. They ain't got a clue. They don't know what they're faced with the shopping bill. They're down in London. Well, I went down on a course without going in too much in London quite recently, and it was busy in every single pub and bar every day of the week. You come up north, the Midlands, north, up northeast. Pubs are not busy all week. One night a week, people can afford to go out. And that's the difference. When you're down in the big city, in the capital, where these politicians live, they think everything's rosy with the country. You come out to your cities up north and around the country, and you will see how bad and how poverty-stricken a lot of these places are,
I don't think it's they say they don't know what's going on. They know what's going on. I just don't think there's a lot of honesty and integrity anymore. It's all about greed and
even if they did, they'd do shit, would they? But anyway,
it's quite sad.
Anyway, let's have some positive stuff. Anyway, first, so what have you got? Is there anything you can give me, like a bit of a first, or anything you've got coming up that's in the pipeline that you want to talk about before we move on to? I've got a little surprise with you with some questions here, Billy. All right.
All right. No, I mean, I'm just plodding on, mate. Still doing the TV stuff. The version in America's gone really well. It's doing great, mate. So we've just filmed the American version is just going on right now. It was on last night. It's in its 3rd episode over in the US. It's growing really well. People are loving it. It's SAS Who Dares Wins, but it's called Special Forces Toughest Test. It's their version. It's all celebrities. It's brilliant. And then the British one, we're in our 10th year now, mate. And it's still getting bigger. And the demographics changing. Younger people are watching it and getting into it. I think it's changed direction for all the better reasons. It's doing really, really well. And the version that he's playing now in America, we filmed the British version as well. That comes out in January. So that's gonna be something to look forward to. Some great, interesting people, and there's a great twist on it, which I won't put any spoilers on. That's coming out. Personally, I'm still doing all my charity stuff, supporting all the charities, Phoenix Heroes, Scottish Little Soldiers, anybody I can, really. I'm actually the cancer charity this afternoon. And I've just wrote my 4th book. That comes out in November. I'm doing a tour. What I love about where I am with my life at the minute is my wife's wrote a book as well. So we've both got our books coming out together. She's been writing hers for 15 years, and she's very, very smart woman, and a great heart, and her book comes out together. So that's something different. Husband and wife launching the books at the same time. That's for us as a personal thing, which is nice. And then we're looking at other TV stuff, something again around young soldiers, a bit of it, going out to the jungle and all that sort of stuff. And we've got fingers in pies. So there's always something new to look at. And personal challenges. At some stage, I want to take my grandkids, along with 2 blind soldiers and 2 injured people, to the base camp of Everest. It's a personal thing, to a journey, not timed or pushed too hard, but learning the culture, doing that, and off to base camp. So that's in the pipeline for probably next year now.
Oh, brilliant stuff. Well, anything I can do to help promote that, I will just tag you here, and I'll do what I can.
I'll let you know as we've got sort of foundations and things in place properly.
Yeah, awesome stuff, buddy. Right, So I want it to be a little bit different. We talk about this stuff, some of the stuff you talked about on other podcasts. I want to be a little bit different. So I've got a few questions. It's the 12
Okay.
questions. We don't have to get through all of them, but they're based on your experiences and
Yeah.
hopefully what advice you could give to other young soldiers joining the military, civilians, all walks of life. So I'll hit you with them. They're off the cuff and see how you go. So the first one. After leaving the SES, what was the hardest mental adjustment? So I've got like losing the adrenaline, purpose, or the brotherhood. What was the hardest thing leaving the military?
I think you never lose the brotherhood. So that's always there. It's not as close because you're not together every day, every week, blah, blah, blah. I think purpose is the real one. You leave and you're like, now what do I do? You know, you were somebody, now you're nobody kind of thing. You're back at the bottom of the pile, which is okay. And that's how really, I guess it should be. But I think what also involved in that is this. When you leave, you take it for granted a lot that we do have in the military. So I left, you know, I'm going through a tough time. I'm trying to find a job. I've now got a job, finding it difficult to adjust. And it's things like paying your bills, a bed to sleep in, the dentist. The dentist was a big one for me. You know, you used to, right, I've got a toothache, get up in the morning, or I'll go to the medicine and go and get sorted, done.
Yeah.
Then I leave, I'm like, I needed a filling or something. And I was like, went down to the civilian dentist, wait in the queue with everybody else, fill in a Wilbur Smith amount of fucking paperwork novel to be registered. Then you come back 2 weeks later. I'm like, what the? So that adjustment to civilian life was difficult. And I think that's difficult for a lot of people. And God bless our families, our wives, and people who you've lived or shared your life with. They take care of all that. But when you're on your own, you're like, whoa. So
Yeah.
I wasn't ready for all that. That hit me hard. You know, registering, doing this, doing that, and where is the GP? I don't know. Where is the dentist? So that purpose? You know, of course, you miss the adrenaline. But I think there comes a very fine line, and it did with me. I handed over the squadron to a good friend of mine, and he was on a great time of things going on, operational stuff, blah 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 stuff I always wanted to do more of. And I remember getting a phone call after about a week and going, "Oh, a particular job I've been working on for a long time went down last night," and I was like, "Damn, I wanted to be there for that. I've handed that to somebody else." And then I realised, you know what? Everything I've done, where I've been, the mad things we've done, I'm still fairly all together. Maybe that could have been the one that I didn't come back from. So I got over that part, the adrenaline part, pretty quick. And I think most people do. And you're getting older. It is time to pass the baton to the younger, sharper people.
Absolutely, and I think you're right there. That the hardest bit about leaving is that leaving the routine. I've heard that a lot, and paying bills. People
Yeah,
struggle with
it is.
life. No, so obviously you've operated in some of the world's most toughest environments with being in the SES. What's one moment that changed your definition of courage?
Courage again. I mean, if you look in a dictionary, it's defined as, I can't even tell you without looking right now, but it's bravery. It's somebody who'll stand up against, you know, it is that. What changed it? I don't think anything changed. What highlighted it, I think we all do this, particularly in the military. You look at each other and you become pals with somebody, and somebody's got a reputation, somebody stands out more than everybody else. And when it comes to the chips being down, you always think, so-and-so's going to do this. He'll nail this. He'll be there at my side. And I've found this, and you may have done the same, is and we've been in some tricky situations, and I'm expecting so-and-so, who's the character, the leader, went at the right most of the time, didn't really step up as quick and good as the quiet bloke who just stepped up. So there's been situations where I've been in some sort of conflict where the quieter guy, who I thought probably wouldn't be the most reliable I'd have, was the most reliable. So, and that happened pretty early in my career in the regiment, you know, where I weren't expecting that one, you know. So I mean, the question of courage, seeing courage and knowing when to use it, when to step up, and when to make that sacrifice. That's what courage is, making that sacrifice for the greater good of others. That's what I believe it is seeing it actually happen, because we have an expectation of who will, who won't. And then also you're like, whoa, him who I thought would be right at my side wasn't there, but somebody else was. And I saw that pretty early.
Right, fair play. Yeah, fair play. Now, this one, I think we've already answered it. It says it's not necessarily the Special Forces, but what's a lesson from Special Forces life that civilians often misunderstand or overlook? And I think we touched on that, is that you're some sort of, if you were, you know what I mean, some sort of like lunatic, kind of unintelligent. And is that what you kind of?
Yeah, and you still do. I feel like a lot of people still look down at you. You're just a person who follows strict orders, doesn't think outside the box, don't think for yourself. I think a lot of people still think that. That's not true. From the youngest soldier, I've seen my youngest soldier debrief a general. Because hang on a minute, that don't make sense. Politically, how is that right? And I'm not, so I think people, there's a misinterpretation of who we really are and what we are. Again, down to that, it's perception.
Yeah.
People's perception of us is wrong. Yeah, we're aggressive, I think, in the right way because we like to get shit done. When we say we're going to do it, we get it done. None of this half-hearted and blaming somebody else and all that stuff. And that's the difference. Most, not all. There's some not so great military people as well, but mostly is the military blokes are sharp and women sharp, get it done, and kind of aggressive about it in today's world. They want it done and they want answers and they want clarity. And whereas people are a bit flowery on the outside. So that's the differences. And yeah.
No, fair play. So this is a bit more like leadership and teamwork. So how do you earn trust quickly when lives depend on it? How does that translate to leading in everyday life? So basically, your lessons in leadership, how you can pass them on in a nutshell to kind of civilian life,
Honesty and integrity, be who you really are. Don't try and be somebody else because people see through it, sniff through it, and they know at the moment that something's going to go down, they ain't going to look to you for help. They're going to be, more worried about you're going to let them down. So as long as you're honest, you're upfront, you have integrity, you know your strengths and your weaknesses, you'll become a good leader and people relate to that. And I'll be the first to say, I don't have all the answers. I've been on hundreds of operations, but as soon as we did another operation, I'll go back to the youngest kid with us and go, what's your thoughts? So to be a good leader, be looked up to, and is to just have honesty, integrity, know your strengths and weaknesses and use it wisely.
No, fair play. What's a leadership mistake you've seen often among elite teams?
Obviously, what I've just said, somebody the one with the biggest mouth who wants to tell you how good it is, how great they are, blah, blah. You and I know, you kind of gravitate towards them a little bit. Then when the shit hits a fan, they're the ones who crumble and become the problem. Then you're left with, oh, shit. So, yeah, it's the one with the biggest mouth who thinks they know it all. Somebody who thinks they know it all. Every day is a school day, which is cliche and all, and the lives, it's a living fucking document. Things change all the time. So a bad leader basically is somebody who thinks they know it all. I've been here the longest time in charge.
I've always said as well that is worse than someone that's incompetent in my book. Someone that's not willing to take advice from someone that's junior than him. And I've seen that in fire service. I've seen that in military. I've seen that in close protection. You have probably multiple times. And I find it worse than sort of someone being at least they may know they're incompetent. They're someone that's not willing to look at something and go, no, it's my way because I'm more senior than you. That is dangerous, I find.
It's very dangerous, mate. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, it's that. And that is incompetent. And it's also insecure as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Missed the next one out because that's answered it anyway. If you could speak to you and yourself on the day you joined the military, what single piece of advice would you give him?
Mate, again, because I'm the cliche again, we get old too quick and wise too late. I would say the one thing I would say to my youngest version, it's just a matter of time. Everything's about time. It doesn't matter how hard it's going to get, it's going to finish. And it'll finish, whenever it finishes. Just accept it's going to be hard. Accept it's a passage in time and smash it. Get on with it. Instead of worrying about, Jesus Christ, when is just get on with it. It will finish. So it's understanding that time is the most important thing we have. And at some stage, this is going to end. So just give it everything you've got in that time period.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Beautiful thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
How do you define success now compared to being within the SES? Now, I think you've mentioned this one early on in the podcast as well.
Yeah, I mean, how do I define success? I mean, we're always chasing a goal, always trying to be the best. I think now, again, you realise time, you realise what's important to you, and it ain't always been the leader, always being this, always having the most money. It's about fucking enjoying what you've got. Success now for me is getting up in the morning, still being alive, and being able to do the things I'm doing.
Your health and stuff like that.
Yeah, your health, your family, what's important to you. People chase this crazy materialistic life and dream. You do as as you're younger. As you get older, you realise that's not important. It means nothing. And also, I think success to me today means, you're leaving a legacy. I'm always aiming to leave a legacy. I want to leave, when I die, I want people to remember me as told the truth, has integrity, and tried to do a better thing. I'm going to make mistakes like we all do. That's acceptable. It has to be acceptable. But really, that's it. That's my success, to pass down to my kids and my people, my friends, with the people that love you, that the honesty and integrity, and be a good person. Success is being a good person.
Yeah, absolutely. Be kind. Treat people the way
Yeah.
you want. I don't understand it as well. It's
But don't be but be nobody's fool. I'm nobody's fucking fool. I always say, don't take my kindness a fucking weakness, because it ain't. And when I come down, I'll come down. But I mean, it's just to leave a legacy, give back to people that the knowledge that I do have, the truth.
No, and like I say, you didn't have to come on my podcast. You were already a big name in the world when I started. So I'll be forever grateful for you.
You don't have to be, mate. We're all equals in this world, and I know you're doing a good thing. I know why you do your podcast.
Yeah, nice one, buddy. Thank you. So, a couple of last ones then. So, in a world that rewards comfort and distraction, how can ordinary people build a bit of that SES mindset?
I don't know if I'm going to answer this the right way, but I always just say, if you live in a world of comfort in terms of entitlement and easy, that's somewhere your life is going to fucking crash, because that ain't life. I always find when I've worked hard for something, it feels better.
Yeah.
It's more enjoyable. And I know it's going to hurt. I know it's uncomfortable. Of course, we want a little bit of comfort and relaxation now and again. But if that's all you want, you're in for a hard life. You're in for a fucking tough time when it comes. I think you need to be able to work hard, feel the pain, and enjoy it when you get the result. Even if you don't always get the result, the fact that you've tried, it's a good feeling. It's good in me, and it's good for your mental health. It's good for you, because you're pushing yourself. You're not just sat back expecting entitlement and things just to come to the easy route, the cutting the corners. That you're going to fall flat in your face eventually.
Yeah, I feel like you've got people that live their lives not putting themselves out of the comfort zone. I don't think they're really living, because it's not
No.
nice. That feeling when you rock up a depot para, or when you go on something, that feeling, that anxious, horrible, gut wrenching, need a shit feeling is it's horrible, isn't it? And you can understand why people don't, but you're never going to grow if you don't
Yeah.
put yourself out of the comfort zone.
Well, that's how you do grow, mate. That's how you grow.
Of course. Right. Do you think resilience can be taught, or does it have to be earned through a struggle?
I'm 100%. You've got to earn it. Resilience is failing, getting up, and going again. Because that's how you really learn. Which goes back to what you just asked me. Being tall, giving everything. You don't fucking build any type of resilience or anything from that, or any worth out of it. Failing or being knocked back, trying again, and then getting result. That's resilience. It's strength to fight on, not to give up. That's what resilience is, and that only comes from experience, from doing it, not reading about it, talking about it. It's you've got to gain it through experience, and that takes time. So resilience is not taught. I mean, you could talk about the fundamentals of what it really means, but real resilience is hardship and fucking failing and going again, getting up and moving forward, never giving up, but being smart enough as well. Resilience also means being smart in terms of some things we can't achieve. There's an old saying, put your mind to it, you can do anything. That's bullshit. No, you can't. Put your mind to it and you can be in a better place than when you fucking first said something about it. That's for sure. That's the truth.
Oh,
So
it's good advice.
So it's experience.
And the last one, what's one modern habit or trend that you think weakens people's minds? And I've got a feeling I know what you're going to say.
What weakens people's minds? Oh God, no! You just thrown me. What habit? Oh.
So I think we kind of touched on it.
Yeah.
For me, it will be, I think, technology. I think people live in a bubble on technology, and they don't get out into the wilderness and out into the world and do the things that we would have done when we were kids.
Yeah.
Climbing trees, hurting ourselves, riding bikes, scrape knees. It doesn't seem to. There are kids that do that, but what I'm trying to say is, I think technology has weakened younger people's minds and made them probably. Why does that make sense?
Entitlement, again, it's back to that as well. It's having things given to you and somebody else taking the blame. So, exactly that, we need to go back to the old caveman days of being out, roughing it, getting wet, being cold, being hungry, being scared, being naughty, all those little fucking things that really make a good foundation for everybody. We need that technology. You're right, absolutely. Sat on a fucking phone, expectation. It's like food or equipment or material. You get it like that because you're on a phone. It's it's fucking ruining us. It really is. And now coming into this world of AI, making you even lazier.
Yeah.
We're losing our intelligence because you used to have to become intelligent and get through university. You had to read books, which is important. You had to do some studying. You had to physically yourself go out and find it. Because sometimes you need to sniff it, touch it, feel it to know what it really is all about. Now you just fucking put in a word in a computer in your phone and there's a big, sounds really intelligent and clever when people speak it. But there's no foundation behind it. It's sculptured polystyrene. Looks great on the outside, sounds great, but touch it, it all falls over because there's no real depth to the knowledge and experience because we don't do it anymore. We're losing it. And you know what? That's why I always say the military, particularly the regiment, is so fucking good at what we do. We don't rely on, we didn't when I left, and I'm pretty sure it's the same. We don't rely on that stuff. It's good to have it. We always start with the basics, a map, a compass, for example. You still got to fucking get that compass. You still got to march. You got to do the bearings, and that is, it's so important to keep those basic foundations. Always going back to simplicity.
No, Billy, look, great advice. Always a pleasure to have you on the podcast. You're always welcome. You've always got a place on my podcast. You know that.
Cheers, Chris.
Thank you very much for coming on, taking the time again. I hope the talk for the cancer charity goes well this afternoon.
Yeah.
I wish you all the well in the future, and hopefully we'll stay in touch. But for now, Billy, thank you very much.
Pleasure. Always a pleasure, Chris. Cheers, mate.
Stories from the edge where the healing begins.